ऐसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय।
जय
अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय।
जय
ISKCON founder आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
जय
नाम आचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय।
जय
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय।
जय
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय।
जय
वृंदावन धाम की जय।
जय
नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय।
जय
गंगा माई की जय।
जय
जमुना माई की जय।
जय
तुलसी देवी की जय।
जय
भक्ति देवी की जय।
जय
समवेता भक्त वृंद की जय।
जय
गौर प्रेमानंदे।
हरि हरि बोल
All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
All glory to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutare Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
We're continuing our reading, studying, discussing of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, the advent of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And here we are at text 101.
জগৎ আনন্দময় দেখি মনে সবিস্ময় ঠারে ঠোরে কহে হরিদাস তোমার ঐচ্ছন রঙ্গ মোর মন পরশন্ন দেখি কিছু কার্যে আছে ভাস
When he saw that the whole world was jubilant, Haridas Thakur, his mind astonished, directly and indirectly expressed himself to Advaita Acharya. Your dancing and distributing charity are very pleasing to me. I can understand that there is some special purpose in these actions. Do you remember this from last time?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Advaita, should I say?
Yes, go ahead.
I think Advaita Acharya was dancing and singing because he was not in Navadvip, but he was aware of the birth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes.
And that's when.
And there's more. Anyone else? No. Because there was the eclipse of the moon. So at that time, people would chant and also give in charity. So, but they were chanting and giving in charity, but for a different, additional purpose because of the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. So that was not just because of the eclipse of the moon. So it was he was especially enthusiastic to distribute charity at that time. Okay, next verse.
আচার্য রত্ন শ্রীবাস হইল মনে সুখোল্লাস যাই স্নান করিল গঙ্গা জলে আনন্দে বিহ্বল মন করে হরি সংকীর্তন নানা দান কইল মন বলে
Acharya Ratna Chandrasekhar and Srivas Thakur were overwhelmed with joy. And immediately they went to the bank of the Ganges to take bath in the water of the Ganges. Their minds full of happiness, they chanted the Hare Krishna mantra and gave charity by mental strength.
এই মতো ভক্তততি যার যেই দেশে স্থিতি তাহা তাহা পাহা মনোবলে নাচে করে সংকীর্তন আনন্দে বিপল মন দান করে গ্রহণের ছলে.
In this way, all the devotees, wherever they were situated, in every city and every country, danced, performed sankirtan, and gave charity by mental strength on the plea of the lunar eclipse, their minds overwhelmed with joy.
ব্রাহ্মণ সজ্জন নারী নানা দ্রব্যে থালি ভরি আইলা সবে যৌতুক লইয়া যেন কাঁচা সোনা দুটি দেখি বালকের মূর্তি আশীর্বাদ করে সুখ পাহা.
All sorts of respectable Brahmin gentlemen and ladies carrying plates filled with various gifts came with their presentations. Seeing the newborn child, whose form resembled natural glaring gold, all of them with happiness offered their blessings.
সাবিত্রী গৌরী সরস্বতী শচী রত্না অরুন্ধতী আর যত দেব নারীগণ নানা দ্রব্যে পাত্র ভরি ব্রাহ্মণীর বেশ ধরি আসি সবে করে দর্শন.
Dressing themselves as the wives of Brahmins, all the celestial ladies, including the wives of Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Nrsimhadev, King Indra, and Vashishta Rishi, and Rambha, a dancing girl of heaven, came there with varieties of gifts. Purport. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a newly born baby, he was visited by the neighboring ladies, most of whom were the wives of respectable Brahmins. In the dress of Brahmana's wives, celestial ladies, like the wives of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, also came to see the newly born child. Ordinary people saw them as neighborhood respectable ladies, respectable Brahmin ladies, but actually they were all celestial ladies dressed in that way. Om Agyana Timidandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Katahmaikam Dadati Sha Pandantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in this pastime here of the Lord's appearance, which in the temple room in Philadelphia, there is a picture on the wall depicting this event of the local Brahmin ladies as well as the celestial ladies arriving at the house of Jagannath Mishra to give gifts to the family and the Lord Chaitanya. So interesting point is that, you know, in many cultures, it's not just this Vedic culture. In many cultures, there's descriptions of how in bygone ages, the demigods used to come to the earth for a variety of reasons. But in the Kali Yuga, that is reduced very significantly because of the irreligious activities of the people in general. But here, because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, is appearing on the earth planet, all the demigods and their wives here specifically are coming again to offer their respects to on the earth planet. It's very auspicious. Since it's auspicious, they know where to come for the auspicious events taking place here. An interesting point here is that there were we hear about the different wives of the demigods, but also a dancing girl, Ramba, also came, which was very interesting. I don't know what the story is with her, but she decided to come along as well. Any comments or questions on this? No? Okay, next verse.
Hare
On
Krishna,
the-
Prabhu.
Ramsham Prabhu has raised.
Oh, Ramsham Prabhu, I didn't see your hand. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu, just a small clarification in the previous verses. In two verses came either like mental austerity, something. So is that the meaning? I mean, generally in the lunar eclipse, after taking bath and all, we touch the rice, and next morning we give it to the Brahmanas or something. So it is what is the mental charity? Charity by mental.
What does it mean, giving charity by mental strength?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not explained there specifically. We know that at the birth of Lord Krishna, it was previously mentioned that Vasudeva gave thousands of cows in charity by mental strength. So one could question, well, how is it that he could give cows in charity because at the time he was locked up in jail, isn't it? So he apparently by the determination to give the cows in charity was made at that time, and the charity itself could have been done at a later time. It's not mentioned here specifically, so that's a bit of speculation. But just like you're talking about, the next day you give the rice in charity to the Brahmins. So similarly, it seems plausible that they give determination to give in charity at one point, and then they actually give the charity at a different point in time. Any other comments on that one? Yes? No? In doing a different yagyas, in the beginning of the yagya, there's something they call Satya Samkalpa. You know that? So there's chanting of mantras, and then there's a statement about, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this, perform the sacrifice, and with these specific details. Even though the sacrifice hasn't yet been done, but there's a vow to do that. So perhaps similarly it's there in this case, the particular determination.
Prabhu,
Go ahead. This is Mother Vindhyavali, isn't it?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Isn't that for blessings of other people, and then due to happiness they give the charity at that time, child's birth or something like that?
Yes. I mean, yes.
Because they need blessings of other people for the child. And then one more thing is because they are happy they had a child. That's what I thought. So.
Right. So here, but we're talking about Haridas Thakur and Advaita Acharya giving. I think your question by Ramsham Prabhu was, what does it mean to give charity by mental strength? Isn't that the question?
Yes, Prabhu. That's a good.
Yeah. So that he was asking for a little more clarification, and I gave a small attempt. But you're right that the purpose, the part of the reason for giving is there's a feeling of happiness, as mentioned here. Also, it's a matter of duty also. In the West, what do they do at the birth of the child for as happiness? Do you know?
Baby shower?
That's before, yeah. Who's that?
Dr. Sean Hart.
Bhakti Sean, yeah, they do a baby shower, but actually on the actual birth, because the mother's a little bit occupied at that time usually. The father, he gives charity of certain kinds.
Cigars.
Yes, cigars. So certainly the demigods aren't going to come for that. Anyway, anyway. So, but that's a perverted reflection here. Naturally, the people like Advaita Acharya and Haridas Thakur, they're feeling happy, so they want to give charity. So, at the birth of the Lord. Yes. Okay, next verse.
অন্তরিক্ষে দেবগণ গন্ধর্ব সিদ্ধ চারণ স্তুতি নৃত্য করে বাদ্যগীত নর্তক বাদক ভাট নবদ্বীপে যার নাট সবে আসি নাচে পা প্রীত.
In outer space, all the demigods, including the inhabitants of Gandharvaloka, Siddhaloka, and Charanaloka, offered their prayers and danced with musical songs and the beating of drums. Similarly, in Navadvip city, all the professional dancers, musicians, and blessers gathered together, dancing in great jubilation. Purport. As there are professional singers, dancers, and reciters of prayers in the heavenly planets, so in India, still, there are professional dancers, givers of blessings, and singers, all of whom assemble together during household ceremonies, especially marriages and birth ceremonies. These professional men earn their livelihood by taking charity on such occasions from the homes of the Hindus. Eunuchs also take advantage of such ceremonies to receive charity. That is their means of livelihood. Such men never become servants or engage themselves in agriculture or business occupations. They simply take charity from neighborhood friends to maintain themselves peacefully. The bhattas are a class of Brahmins who go to such ceremonies to offer blessings by composing poems with references to the Vedic scriptures. This phenomenon of dancers, blessers, singers coming to ceremonies at this time of Prabhupada's writing was still prevalent in India. I don't know if you have experience of that, any of you, in your lifetimes, either for the marriage of family members or births in your family. Does that happen with you still in India now?
Yes. Yes.
Tell us about it.
So, no, during the birth, they will be coming, different kind of people. Like one is the low caste people, like washerman, and those other. They have right to take the charity from us. They will claim, no, you have to give. So because and also those who are the servants, they will be also coming, and they will claim like the same way. And also the dancer, they will come and they will come and they will ask until we have the conception also, like until they become happy from our house. So, and they will not bless, we will not get a good kind of, so in our neighborhood also, people will think until they got happy, so that is not good. So we have to make them happy.
Oh, so if they're not happy, they're not going to give their blessings?
Yeah,
It's not that they give
similar
their
to like
blessings.
that. We have to negotiate and make them happy.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. So I suspect also they're also like at the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, there were astrologers also were consulted at that time too. And so what kind of charity is usually given? Or
It
is
will
there
be,
go ahead.
for us, generally we do like the kind of food related, like rice, grains, and some money, top of that, some money also. And if people are more kind of wealthy, they will give like the clothes and the other stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Not cows so much.
Not nowadays. Earlier it was our grandfather times. Yeah. So
Oh, they
now
would often
people
give
don't.
cows. Okay. No cigars either, I suppose. So there was I found a little discussion that Giriraj Maharaj said about this verse, which I thought was interesting. I thought I'd read it to you here. Vedic culture is very beautiful and highly elevated. Even now in India, the culture is there, though not as much as before. When I was in Bombay last December, I visited an old friend, a very nice devotee who was related to the Birlas. And it just so happened that there was an engagement ceremony in the Birla family from the mother's side. See, Brij Ratan Mohata had married Seth Birla's daughter, and their son's daughter was becoming engaged. So I went to the engagement reception, and there I met a bhajan singer, right, like the singers that come, a bhajan singer named Purushottam Das Jalota. When I first went to India in 1970, he was very popular. He would sing bhajans in aristocratic Hindus' homes and give lessons in voice and harmonium. As he grew older, his son, as happens, became his apprentice and also began to sing bhajans and play harmonium. So we invited his son. Who's that son?
Anup Jalota.
Anup, who was relatively unknown then, to perform at our auditorium in Juhu. At the engagement reception, Purushottam approached me. He was about 87 then and was wearing a traditional Hindu jacket and cap. After we spoke for some time, he made an indication and said, Anup is there, and I tried to call him. I think for me to bless and encourage his son, but because his voice was not so loud, Anup could not hear him. And so I said, that's all right, I'll go and see him. Anup remembered his first performance in the ISKCON auditorium. I didn't usually attend such performances, but somehow that evening, toward the end of the performance, I had felt drawn into the auditorium. I had found a seat toward the back and sat down. The whole atmosphere had been surcharged. I can't explain it. And he had sung with such devotion that his words and his voice had entered people's minds and hearts. It had been a very special performance, and the devotees had recorded it and produced an audio cassette that they would distribute on Sankirtan. And it became a hit. Many people would ask for Anup Jalota's tape. When I first met Anup at the reception, he said that when he had entered the auditorium, he had not been sure whether or not he would pursue a career as a singer. He had prayed, Lord Krishna, I'm yours. Whatever you want, you can do. If you want me to pursue this career, you can make me a success. If you don't, that's all right, whatever you wish. And he remarked that it was because of his performance in the ISKCON auditorium and the recording of it that he had become a success. I knew this was the case, but I didn't want to say it. But he also knew it, and he said it, and it was true. That is the culture, and that mood of devotion, of surrender, of the dependence of the Lord is there in the Vedic culture. Hare Krishna. Next verse.
কেবা আসে কেবা যায় কেবা নাচে কেবা গায় সম্ভালিতে নারে সম্ভালিতে নারে কারো বল খণ্ডিলেক দুঃখ শোক প্রমোদ পুরিত লোক মিশ্র হইলা আনন্দে বিহ্বল.
No one could understand who was coming and who was going, who was dancing and who was singing, nor could they understand each other's language. But in effect, all happiness and lamentation were immediately dissipated, and people became all jubilant. Thus, Jagannath Mishra was also overwhelmed with joy.
আচার্য রত্ন শ্রীবাস জগন্নাথ মিশ্র পাশ আসি তারে করে সাবধান করাইল জাত কর্ম যে আছিল বিধি ধর্ম তবে মিশ্র করে নানা দান.
Chandrasekharacharya and Srivas Thakur both came to Jagannath Mishra and drew his attention in various ways. They performed the ritualistic ceremonies prescribed at the time of birth according to religious principles. Jagannath Mishra also gave varieties of charity.
যৌতুক পাইল যত ঘরে বা আছিল কত সব ধন বিপ্র দিল দান যত নর্তক গায়ন ভাট অকিঞ্চন জন ধন দিয়া কইল সবার মান.
Whatever riches Jagannath Mishra collected in the form of gifts and presentations, and whatever he had in his house, he distributed among the Brahmins, professional singers, dancers, bhattas, and the poor. He honored them all by giving them riches in charity.
শ্রীবাসের ব্রাহ্মণী নাম তার মালিনী আচার্য রত্নের পত্নী সঙ্গে সিন্দুর হরিদ্রা তৈল খই কলা নারিকেল দিয়া পূজে নারীগণ রঙ্গে.
The wife of Srivas Thakur, whose name was Malini, accompanied by the wife of Chandrasekhar, Acharya Ratna, and other ladies, came there in great happiness to worship the baby with paraphernalia such as vermilion, turmeric oil, fused rice, bananas, and coconuts. Purport. Vermilion, kai, did I say it right? How do you say that?
Koi.
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 Fused rice, bananas, coconuts, and turmeric mixed with oil are all auspicious gifts for such a ceremony. As there is puffed rice, so there is another preparation of rice called koi, or fused rice, which along with bananas is taken as a very auspicious presentation. Also, turmeric mixed with oil and vermilion makes an auspicious ointment that is smeared over the body of a newly born baby or a person who is going to marry. These are all auspicious activities in family affairs. We see that 500 years ago at the birth of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all these ceremonies were performed rigidly. But at present, such ritualistic performances hardly ever take place. Generally, a pregnant mother is sent to the hospital, and as soon as her child is born, he is washed in an antiseptic, and this concludes everything. I think there's something they put in the eyes also, some kind of thing Yeah. Did anybody on this call, were they smeared with their body with an auspicious ointment, turmeric mixed with oil and vermilion, or have they done that with their children?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Who's
Yes.
that? Who said?
This is Vindhyavali. We did.
Oh, who did you do it to?
Kavarade.
Who's that?
Kavarade.
Oh, really? So she got this treatment.
Yeah.
Oh, very
When
nice.
they were young. Yeah.
Vishnugada
Because
Prabhu.
that turmeric, they say it is antiseptic. Their children, they usually do. Nowadays, because of the color, people don't want to do that. Because that sticks to the clothes and everything. Now they don't want to, but we used to do
The turmeric color or the vermilion color or both?
turmeric,
Yeah.
it's very auspicious for us.
Ah. Prananath Prabhu, you said you were going to say.
Yes, Prabhu. Even in the wedding ceremony the day before also,
Yeah.
both they do it.
Oh, did you do that?
Weddings
Yes.
also they do for both of them.
Just you had it on your body or your wife's body or both?
Both.
Oh,
Separate
really?
houses, they do that.
Yeah, respectively at our own homes. Yeah.
How long did you keep that on?
No, they will give just
And then there is a shower, there's
shower.
water on top. So with
Actually,
not too
it's
long.
in the south. It is still pretty common, especially in Tamil Nadu, where people are a lot more orthodox. Every Friday, it's considered auspicious for women to apply turmeric. So they wash their hair and then. And I remember when I was in school on Fridays, all the girls would come with yellow faces because
Even Shobharade, when she was in college also, she used to do. Every Friday we used to do that.
Every Friday. Why Friday?
Because Friday is considered auspicious for women,
For women.
for Sumangalis. So that's why on Fridays especially. I mean, it has to be done every day, but on Fridays especially.
So just in the hair or no other parts of the body?
Face. I mean, it's all over. Yes.
Whole body they used to do for feet and everything we used to do, and then hair, wash for hair.
So in South
now
they
it is just South. Yeah, it's a little bit more orthodox.
Yes.
So and now it's sort of relegated to the day before the wedding. It's called Mangala Snanam. So it's the auspicious bath that the bride and groom are given. So first they apply a lot of haldi, and it's a mixture of besan and haldi, and so instead of using soap, that is what is used. So even for babies, we never used soap. We would use besan and
up to 1 year we do
haldi.
take care like that mostly.
So that is what is used to rub on the skin and remove the dirt. And
okay, no soap.
Yeah, we try not to use soap.
I think there's something they put in the eyes called nitrous oxide or something. They put
No.
They don't do that in South.
And then taking this head bath also, hair washing, we don't do we hear kids do that night and evening, 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock they come from the classes or something they do. But we usually don't do that on uneven timings, that is very bad omen that they used to say. Like
I'm not getting it. What, a night bath is not a good thing?
No, head bath, that's
head bath.
Timings, head bath.
Okay.
Bath they can take, but but head bath we always don't prefer like that.
Okay.
Like midday also, it's not very good. That those somebody passes away, they do that uneven timings, that that's why they don't like that.
Okay. Text 111.
অদ্বৈত আচার্য ভার্যা জগৎ পূজিতা আর্যা নাম তার সীতা ঠাকুরানী আচার্যের আজ্ঞা পাহা গেল উপহার লহা দেখিতে বালক শিরোমণি.
One day, shortly after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born, Advaita Acharya's wife, Sita Devi, who is worshipable by the whole world, taking permission of her husband, went to see that topmost child with all kinds of gifts and presentations. Purport. It appears that Advaita Acharya had two different houses, one at Shantipur and one in Navadip. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born, Advaita Acharya was residing not at his Navadvip house, but at his Shantipur house. Therefore, as formerly explained, Nijaloi, from Advaita's old paternal house in Shantipur, Sita came to Navadvip to present gifts to the newly born child, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Advaita Acharya's house in Navadvip is just a very short distance away from Jagannath Mishra's place. Text 112.
সুবর্ণের কড়ি বৌলি রজত মুদ্রা পাশুলি সুবর্ণের অঙ্গদ কঙ্কন দুবাহুতে দিব্য শঙ্খ রজতের মলবঙ্ক স্বর্ণমুদ্রার নানা হারগণ.
She brought different kinds of golden ornaments, including bangles for the hand, armlets, necklaces, and anklets.
ব্যাঘ্রনখ হেমজড়ি কোটি পট্টসূত্র ডরি হস্তপদের যত আবরণ চিত্রবর্ণ পট্টশাড়ি বুনি ফত পট্টপাড়ি স্বর্ণ রৌপ্য মুদ্রা বহুধন.
There were also tiger nails set in gold, waist decorations of silk and lace, ornaments for the hands and legs, nicely printed silken saris, and a child's garment, also made of silk. Many other riches, including gold and silver coins, were also presented to the child. Purport. From the gifts presented by Shita Thakurani, Advaita Acharya's wife, it appears that Advaita Acharya was at that time a very rich man. Although Brahmins are not the rich men of society, Advaita Acharya, being the leader of the Brahmins in Shantipur, was considerably well-to-do. Therefore, he presented many ornaments to the baby, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Kamalakant Vishwas, asking for 300 rupees from the king of Jagannath Puri, Maharaj Prataparudra, on the plea that Advaita Acharya was in debt for that amount, indicates that such a rich man who could present many valuable ornaments, saris, etc., thought it difficult to repay 300 rupees. Therefore, the value of a rupee at that time was many thousands of times greater than it is now. At the present, no one feels difficulty over a debt of 300 rupees, nor can an ordinary man accumulate such valuable ornaments to present to a friend's son. Probably the value of 300 rupees at that time was equal to the present value of 30,000 rupees. Or now today probably would be 3 crores rupees, something like that. Sometimes one thinks that people have, at least they used to have the impression that India was a poor country. But at this time, there was a traveler who went from Europe, a doctor who traveled throughout various lands of the East, you know, the Persia area, China, the very Southeast Asia, Vietnam, and he came to Bengal. This was in the 16th century, and seeing the opulence in Bengal, he wrote that this is the most opulent place on the face of the earth. Just right after Lord Chaitanya was there. So Advaita Acharya, he had such opulence. Of course, being the incarnation of Mahavishnu, he owns everything. But contrasting later, when things became very difficult, poverty became very endemic there for some time. Next verse.
Durba Dhanno Gorochon Horidra Kumkum Chandon Mongoldrabbo Patra Bhoriya Bostro Gupto Dola Chori Bostro Gupto Dola Chori Shange Loa Dashi Cheri Bostralankar Petori Bhoriya.
Riding in a palanquin covered with cloth and accompanied by maidservants, Sita Thakurani came to the house of Jagannath Mishra, bringing with her many auspicious articles such as fresh grass, paddy, gorochan, turmeric, kumkum, and sandalwood. All these presentations filled a large basket. Purport. The words Vastragupta Dola are very significant in this verse. Even 50 or 60 years ago in Calcutta, all respectable ladies would go to a neighboring place riding in a palanquin, carried by 4 men. The palanquin was covered with soft cotton, and in that way, there was no chance to see a respectable lady traveling in public. Ladies, especially those coming from respectable families, could not be seen by ordinary men. This system is still current in remote places. The Sanskrit word Asurya Pashya indicates that a respectable lady could not be seen even by the sun. In the Oriental culture, this system was very much prevalent and was strictly observed by respectable ladies, both Hindu and Muslim. We have actual experience in our childhood that our mother would not go next door to her house to observe an invitation by walking. She would go in either a carriage or a palanquin carried by 4 men. This custom was also strictly followed 500 years ago, and the wife of Advaita Acharya, being a very respectable lady, observed the customary rules current in that social environment. And Srila Prabhupada comments about his mother doing the same thing. And the mother his family wasn't a wealthy family, but they were respectable, certainly. So very interesting here. Any comments or observations about this? Asurya Pashya. Yeah, was that Ram Shyam Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhuji. So Advaita Acharya is the incarnation of the Mahavishnu and Mahasadaशिव, and being incarnation of the Mahavishnu and Shiva. Like here, one time I have heard this, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu become little agitated, how come he took 300 rupee debt, how his servant is claiming that from the Padap Rudra, he went and asked for 300 rupees, Advaita Acharya is having debt. So can you please put light on that past time, and whether really Advaita Acharya was having the debt of 300 rupees, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what was that conversation and all?
Well, I don't remember the details offhand, but when if Advaita Acharya has a debt, that's only his lila, and it's not that he's actually destitute. We'll read about that later. I don't remember the details. I don't know if anyone else present remembers the details. as you mentioned, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became a little bit miffed with Kamalakanta Vishwas for him saying that that Advaitacharya had a debt, but all the details I don't remember exactly. I'm sorry. Can't help. Okay, text 115.
ভক্ষ ভোজ্য উপহার সঙ্গে লইল বহু ভার শচী গৃহে হইল উপনীত দেখিয়া বালক ঠাম সাক্ষাৎ গোকুল কান বর্ণমাত্র দেখি বিপরীত
When Sita Thakurani came to the house of Sachi Devi, bringing with her many kinds of eatables, dresses, and other gifts, she was astonished to see the newly born child, for she appreciated that except for a difference in color, the child was directly Krishna of Gokul himself. Purport. A pitari is a kind of big basket that is carried in pairs on the ends of a rod balanced over the shoulders. The man who carries such a load is called a bhari. This system of carrying luggage and packages is still current in India and other Oriental countries. And we have seen that the same system is still current even in Jakarta, Indonesia. Next verse.
সর্ব অঙ্গ সুনির্মাণ সুবর্ণ প্রতিমা ভান সর্ব অঙ্গ সুলক্ষণময় বালকের দিব্য জ্যোতি দেখি পাইল বহু প্রীতি বাৎসল্যেতে দ্রবিল হৃদয়.
Seeing the transcendental bodily effulgence of the child, each of his nicely constructed limbs, full of auspicious signs and resembling a form of gold, Sita Thakurani was very much pleased, and because of her maternal affection, she felt as if her heart were melting.
দুর্বা ধান্য দিল শীর্ষে কইল বহু আশিসে চিরজীবী হও দুই ভাই ডাকিনী সাংখিনী হইতে শঙ্কা উপজিলে চিতে ডরে নাম থুইল নিমাই.
She blessed the newly born child by placing fresh grass and paddy on his head and saying, "May you be blessed with a long duration of life." But being afraid of ghosts and witches, she gave the child the name Nimai. Purport. Dakini and Shankini are two companions of Lord Shiva and his wife, who are supposed to be extremely inauspicious, having been born of ghostly life. It is believed that such inauspicious living creatures cannot go near a neem tree. At least medically, it is accepted that neem wood is extremely antiseptic, and formerly it was customary to have a neem tree in front of one's house. On very large roads in India, especially in Uttar Pradesh, there are hundreds and thousands of neem trees. Neem wood is so antiseptic that the Ayurvedic science uses it to cure leprosy. Medical scientists have extracted the active principle of the neem tree, which is called margasic acid. Neem is used for many purposes, especially to brush the teeth. In Indian villages, 90% of the people use neem twigs for this purpose. Because of all the antiseptic effects in the neem tree, and because Lord Chaitanya was born beneath a neem tree, Sita Thakurani gave the Lord the name Nimai. Later in his youth, he was celebrated as Nimai Pandit. And in the neighborhood villages, he was called by that name, although his real name was Vishvambar. Giriraj Swami commented on this verse also, saying that he had an acquaintance who did a residential training in villages in India as a dentist. And he was amazed that the people's dental health was so good. And he attributed it, any guesses what he attributed it to?
The neem twig.
Yeah, they were using the neem twigs to clean their teeth every day. And whenever Srila Prabhupada had access to neem, he would use that also to clean his teeth. Sometimes he would also use eucalyptus twig, but he preferred the neem twig. I think now you can get it sometimes in Indian stores. Is it true? Neem twigs? No?
We had toothpaste. We had toothpaste there now.
Neem toothpaste, yeah.
Neem toothpaste, yeah.
I have used it in my childhood. Neem
Yeah,
twigs.
so
Yeah, used it.
Yeah,
don't they
used-
soak the end of the twig in water and then use it the next day? So it gets a little bit softer?
Yeah, we had to just heat it another so that it becomes like brush. So
Yes,
the-
yes.
yeah.
So it's very practical.
I think they chew it. They keep chewing it initially till it gets like a brush, and then
Yeah.
Uh-huh,
But
uh-huh.
also sometimes we make like brush and then we do it so that it can.
So
Now
this
neem paste is it. The toothpaste is there.
so we and it keeps the ghostly beings away as well, the neem tree.
And then
So-
neem is everywhere in front of the houses because they say the air comes through the tree, that is very healthy.
Neem, the neem breezes. Okay.
Yeah, breezes.
So if you've ever seen also a picture of Shiva, when Lord Shiva is coming in procession, there's all these beings with him that have kind of ghastly features, all different kinds. So some of them are Dakini and Sakini, like that, different kinds of beings associated with Lord Shiva and his wife. Text 118.
পুত্র মাতার স্নান দিনে ছিল বস্ত্র বিভূষণে পুত্রসহ মিশ্রেরে সম্মানী শচী মিশ্রের পূজা লওয়া মনেতে হরিষ হওয়া ঘরে আইলা সীতা ঠাকুরানী.
On the day the mother and son took bath and left the maternity home, Sita Thakurani gave them all kinds of ornaments and garments, and then also honored Jagannath Mishra. Then Sita Thakurani, being honored by Mother Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra, was greatly happy within her mind, and thus she returned home. Purport. On the 5th day from the birth of the child, as also on the 9th day, the mother takes bath either in the Ganges or in a sacred place. This is called Nishkramara, or the ceremony of coming out of the maternity home. Nowadays, the maternity home is a hospital, but formerly in every respectable house, one room was set aside as a maternity home where children would take birth. And on the 9th day after the birth of the child, the mother would come into the regular rooms in the ceremony called Nishkramara. Of the 10 purificatory processes, Nishkramana is one. Formerly, especially in Bengal, the higher castes observed 4 months after the birth of a child as quarantine. At the end of the 4th month, the mother first had to see the sunrise. Later, the higher castes, namely the Brahmins, Kshatris, and Vaishyas, observed only 21 days as a quarantine, whereas the Shudras had to observe 30 days. For the sections of society known as Kartabhaja and Shatima, the mother of the child was immediately purified after the quarantine by throwing of Harinruta, small pieces of sweetmeat, in Sankirtan. Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra with the newly born child were honored by Sita Thakurani. Similarly, while Sita Thakurani was returning home, she was also honored by Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra. That was the system in respectable families of Bengal. Text 119.
ওইছে শচী জগন্নাথ পুত্র পাহা লক্ষ্মীনাথ পূর্ণ হইল সকল বাঞ্ছিত ধন ধান্যে ভরে ঘর লোকমান্য কলেবর দিনে দিনে হয় আনন্দিত.
In this way, Mother Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra, having obtained a son who was the husband of the goddess of fortune, had all their desires fulfilled. Their house was always filled with riches and grains. As they saw the beloved body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, day after day, their pleasure increased. Purport. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, everyone offered their respects to him. Even the denizens of heaven used to come in the dress of ordinary men to offer their respects to the Lord. His father and mother, Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi, seeing the honor of their transcendental son, also became very much pleased within their hearts.
মিশ্র বৈষ্ণব শান্ত অলম্পট শুদ্ধ দান্ত ধন ভোগে নাহি অভিমান পুত্রের প্রভাবে যত ধন আসি মিলে তত বিষ্ণু প্রীতে দিজে দেন দান.
Jagannath Mishra was an ideal Vaishnav. He was peaceful, restrained in sense gratification, pure and controlled. Therefore, he had no desire to enjoy material opulence. Whatever money came because of the influence of his transcendental son, he gave it in charity to the Brahmanas for the satisfaction of Vishnu. I think we're beyond time. I was hoping to end this chapter, but there's a few more verses here. What do you think?
I'm okay with it.
How many verses are left here in this chapter? Can we see? Oh, there's quite a few. Okay. All right.
No, 13, it ends here. Yeah, so this is 24, 4 more verses.
Yeah. Of course, there's this long verse here, though. So we'll do that next time. Questions, comments? We got to witness the birth and very early infancy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here by the grace of Srila Prabhupada and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Very nice. Along with the ceremonies that were performed for his appearance and early pastimes. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Thank you.
Vishnugada Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.